That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about Magic Mike's Last Dance, which Warner Brothers is releasing February 10th, 2023. The cap of a trilogy we never thought would be.
Who directed it?
Steven Soderbergh. It's his 33rd film.
Can you name a Soderbergh film I've seen?
Ocean's 11.
Okay.
Also Aaron Brockovich, Traffic.
You don't have to pull all these posters.
The first Magic Mike.
Oh, okay.
From 2012.
That's important.
But I don't know, Sex, Lies, and Videotape, it was his debut, which won the Palme d'Or in 1989.
Noted. I thought this movie was cute.
Yeah, I especially because I didn't really care for Magic Mike XXL, the 2015 sequel, which was directed by Gregory Jacobs. Notably, all three of them were written by Reid Carolin, who co-directed Dog with Channing Tatum last year.
I know I've seen the first two. I couldn't tell you a single thing about them. This one, calling it cute though, seems odd because it's a movie about male strippers, but it is cute. The stripping is kind of, it feels more like those dance movies like Honey or Save the Last Dance or Step Up. Because in this one, professional dancers are hired to perform, and we never see them actually strip. Like, they're always wearing pants. In fact, the person with the least amount of clothes on is Channing Tatum, where he dances in his boxer briefs. Mm-hmm. But the other dancers, who have no speaking lines really, they're only ever shirtless. So it definitely feels like kind of PG in that way.
Yeah, I didn't find this very adult in any sort of sense. At least not compared. The other two, set in Florida, seem to have a little more grit to them.
There's even a teenage girl who's part of the story, which we'll get to, who gets to go see the final show that we'll talk about. And there are moments when her eyes are like shielded. And then I'm like, for what?
For what? She's already seeing the same thing, which is shirtless men.
And there's nothing to see. But anyway, the basic story is Channing Tatum's back. He's living in Miami. He's working as like one of those like cater waiter type people, and he's bartending at an event being thrown by Salma Hayek.
Maxandra Mendoza.
So she's a super rich lady in the middle of a divorce who has this amazing house in Miami, and she's doing a fundraiser party. She sees Channing Tatum there, and her lawyer, we get a scene where Salma's lawyer recognizes Channing from like the previous movie where he played a stripper at one of her parties, or he was a stripper.
Caitlin Gerard.
So Salma has her security bring Channing to her because she wants a lap dance. And we get a lap dance scene that's okay, and she's wowed by it.
Well, she's more wowed than we are, I think.
Yeah, and then she says, come with me to my home in London for a month. I have a job for you.
A secret job.
And she's not joking. She, in the middle of this divorce, to make it simple, she now owns this historic theater that's putting on a show, like a traditional sort of stuffy play, and she wants to make it into something that's more about female empowerment, which really is like she wants a high-end strip show. Mm-hmm. So for over an hour of this film, we just see Channing and Salma casting and rehearsing for this show. But of course, there needs to be some conflict. The conflict is that the family of this rich husband of hers, they don't like her and they don't want her to be doing this. And because it's a historic building, they're creating roadblocks so that she cannot put on the show. And the final roadblock is, as part of her prenuptial agreement, if she like sort of defaces the family name, she's not eligible to get any money. And it's pretty much guaranteed that if she puts on this strip show in the family's theater, that she will have broken that rule. But of course, they decide to proceed because Channing and Selma's characters love each other, and they're willing to sacrifice everything to be together.
The biggest,
but really, Channing's not sacrificing anything. It's just Selma giving up this amazing fortune so she can be with him. But that's what happens. The end. Mm-hmm, the final 20 minutes is, as the audience, we get to see the show they've been working on, which I did think was, if it were a real touring show, I would go see it.
It was impressive. I mean, there are some, as you would say, some crunchy bits based in, logic happening and how the show proceeds, especially with, what is a really impressive scene in the rain.
We should talk about that. But what did you like about the movie?
I like Salma Hayek.
Salma Hayek is the best part. She is just so, as Don King would say, magnanimous. No, she is just so vibrant and fun and it just feels like when she's on screen, she has control of like everyone in the room.
She's usually pretty magnetic, even stuff that I don't necessarily care for, like that movie she did with Owen Wilson. But Bliss.
Yes. Yeah. Well, where she plays like the bag lady with psychic ability or something.
Right.
So she's the best part.
Channing Tatum, I like as a... I think he seems like a sweet, decent person. As far as like him being magnetic or really drawing me in any sort of way, no, not
I
particularly.
agree. I agree.
But I don't mind him.
Well, getting to what I didn't really love, I feel like in the previous films, I do recall that there were other characters like Matt Bomer and Joe Manganiello who had something to them, or Alex Pettifer. In this one, like none of the male dancers have any dialogue except for lines within the show. So they have no characterization. So it really is just Channing Tatum, Salma Hayek. Salma Hayek has a adopted daughter named Zadie.
Jemelia George.
Who I thought was cute.
Plays her. They have kind of an Ab-Fab Eddie Safi energy going to them.
Yes.
And I thought the teenage girl was quite cute and charming.
I mean, actually, I agree to the point where I kind of wish the film would have been more about their relationship and her. I mean, maybe even like the mother-daughter trying to put on a strip show. Like, I didn't need Channing Tatum because they were so cute together.
I'm surprised you don't remember Matthew McConaughey from the first Magic Mike. Cause
I think I'm confusing him with the movie where he dies from AIDS.
The Dallas Buyers Club?
I think that's what I think he is in Magic Mike. I don't know.
No, his body's a bit different.
I don't remember. But then there's another character, Victor, who is Selma's like butler / assistant.
Ayub Kundin.
I enjoyed him. I don't know what purpose he served because he's kind of a very prominent character that I don't know.
I felt like there was something they were trying to go for with him, as in he feels invisible, but he's eternally supportive of her. And then in the end, he gets to hug along with a daughter. But at the same time, he's part of her demise.
Okay, we need to talk about that because that really confused me. So everyone knows now that if Selma goes through with this production, she's going to lose all her rights to this fortune through the divorce. So she goes and tells Channing, who doesn't know this, so everyone knows except Channing, that her fortune is at risk. She tells him the show's done. Stop. Pull the plug. And then she leaves. But it's like they still have the weekend to rehearse. So Victor, the butler, gives Channing a key to the theater so that he can continue rehearsing and put on the show.
On a Sunday before the production shut down on Monday.
So that means that the butler is the one who allowed this to happen, and he's making the decision to put Selma's fortune at stake. And I thought that was a really big, bold move for a character who I don't know how invested he is. I don't know why he's the one who made the decision. Channing doesn't know this, that he's putting her fortune at risk, and Selma doesn't know that the butler is allowing him to do it. So that threw me all the way off. But just a few notes I have. When Channing first does the striptease with Selma, he's been working all day out in the sun in Miami.
I thought that too. And when he takes his pants off and her head is down in that zone, I'm like, there would be smells. I know
people like smells, and but I just know how I get after a full day, and I just can't imagine that she must have really been attracted to him on site.
He just gets called in while they're packing up, and she's having some frantic phone call, and then proposes to him this dance. They work out a few things. He just starts the dance. It's like there wasn't a moment where it's like, you should go shower, or you should get comfortable.
I mean, it's fantasy. I don't know, but I mean, for someone who's very familiar with man smells, I was kind of shocked that she didn't react to him smelling like anything. Right,
but I appreciate representations of how there's an inherent eroticism in this simulation. Like this acting out fantasy of it is actually more appealing probably than the actual sex act itself to these people. But then also to really appreciate the eroticism of it, I think you need to be a participant in that.
A device that's used is Zadie. We're told is like writing a book, and I don't know what her book is about, but she's narrating the movie. And it sounds like she's reading from a book. So I was a little confused, like...
Her memoir.
Like, why are we being told she's writing a novel for school, but then we don't know what it's about, and then we hear her narrating, like, so did she... Because we're told she's writing the book, before the movie's over. So
Well, and most of the narration is kind of about the history of dance and tribal culture and how that's come to represent how it relates to this story and where it goes at the end. And
the final strip show that is put on, there's a female MC. Do you know that actor's name? I wanted to shout her out because I actually really liked that actor.
I should have looked her up then.
Well, I don't ever look up anyone.
Okay.
So, I mean, you know. Anyway, I'll post her picture and I'll post her name because I really liked her vibe. And actually, when I said I would pay to see the show, it was probably because I liked how it was set up with her character. So I did like that.
Well, she was part of the original cast of this play that's called Isabella Ascending, which they keep referencing.
Which is like a stuffy, like Downton Abbey looking kind of thing.
Where about this woman who has to choose between two men, neither of whom are, you know, truly great options for her. And she is let go with pay, but kind of comes back. I didn't really like her initial outburst monologue.
So I actually wrote that down as my next note, that while I found her character amusing, when she first returns to the theater and sees that it's a strip show, she has this outburst, and I thought that was corny.
It was corny, yeah.
Like, bitch, you getting paid, stay your ass at home. Okay, a big plot point is about the show being shut down because it's not it's not following the rules about historic venues. So then there's this montage where the dancers, Salma and Channing, have to figure out like who on the council they can like butter up. And it's this woman named Edna, who's like the main council person.
Who I did like. Her, and she's played by a woman named Vicki Pepperdine, who is part of this pretty major developing this television series called Getting On.
I thought she was really cute, and the way they win her over is they follow her all day and realize that, oh, she rides the bus every day. So they put on sort of like a male striptease version of Swan Lake on the bus.
That's actually my favorite scene in the film.
Yes.
That's not including Salma.
And another impressive scene that you already alluded to is the final, there's a plot point where Selma and Channing are arguing about, we don't have like a great finale. So the finale Channing comes up with is they do like this dance in the rain that mimics an argument that Channing and Selma had. So now it's Channing and a ballet dancer.
But what doesn't make sense is they are soaked on that stage.
Yeah.
And then they have the encore of the rest of the cast dancing to Pony. Yeah.
Okay, we were having drama in this room because there's a cat and a dog in here. But two things I didn't love: the love affair between Channing and Tatum, or Channing and Selma at the end.
Channing and Tatum.
Well, maybe that love affair is also weird, but Channing and Selma, I just did not believe these two were.
Oh no! When they rushed to meet each other at the end of the show
and say they love each other, I was like,
yeah. You all have both been through things where you
should know better. Lastly, I really did not like the sound editing and the soundtrack because, you know, having watched many films about strip clubs, usually it's immersed. Like every movie about a strip club, you feel like you're immersed in the music.
Sure.
And in this one, it almost felt like I was watching a movie on mute, and then someone was playing an unrelated song on like a boombox.
Sure.
It wasn't loud enough, and then we get montages of the strip performances, so the music is not necessarily synced to the dancing. So I thought that was really odd that the dancers, like, timing didn't match the songs, and I didn't like the song selections. You liked one of them.
Yeah, well, two of them, but I've long been a fan of AWOL Nation's Sail.
I'm not saying the songs weren't good, I just didn't think they were... I feel like if you're going to do because also, who's the audience for this film? Probably people Channing's age. So I feel like the music needed to be like early 2000s bangers, like club bangers that we recognize.
Sure.
It was very like, I don't know, like sexy, like how they mix R&B and EDM, but it's like, I didn't like it. But that being said, overall, I thought it was an inventive way to do a third movie in this franchise that didn't make me think it was super corny.
Yeah, I didn't cringe. I only cringed a couple times, but it also had a lot of... there were some interesting moments of feeling and poignancy that I was surprised at, but almost in all of the unexpected ways instead of the forced ways with this manufactured romance I don't believe in for a minute. My last note for it is like, this movie is like a decent cheese. Not the good cheese, but like a good provolone. This works well with the meat that's being served.
I think it'd be good for streaming or like on an airplane. It's this movie it's rated R. If you told me it was PG-13, I'd believe it.
I think it is PG-13.
Yeah, which seems odd for like, I don't know Soderbergh, but like his name to me means like adult movies. Is that accurate?
Sure.
So like an adult movie about male strippers is PG-13? I don't know.
I'd have to double check that. I also never check the ratings of films because I'm...
Well, either way, if it is
don't have
R,
children.
if it is R, it doesn't feel R. And if it is PG-13, that kind of seems weird for the subject matter.
Like the new Shyamalan film. Like
Yeah. But what would you give it?
3.
I would give it 3 out of 5. I thought it was good. Anything else?
Just barely it gets a 3. Just edged in there.
By the hairs on your chinny chin chin.
Yeah.
Hit the thanks button. Listen to our podcast. Bye.